Assalamualaikum, good afternoon and good morning to all. In particular, my friends, the panelists. Professor Hassan, how are you? Professor Iqbal and Professor Handoko. I met Prof. Hassan and Prof. Chaudhry when they were here in Kuala Lumpur, meeting on the sideline of the KL Summit last year. Just to inform all of you that Dr. Yusuf is coming in a bit later because he's engaged in the meeting right now. Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by giving some context to what we are doing today. The Road to Recovery is a webinar series organized by Mind, which explores the different facets of post-COVID-19 efforts for nations to move ahead in the wake of the devastation caused by the pandemic. So today we will explore issues relating to healthcare and its wider implication to societal well-being, both in response to COVID-19 and in the strengthening the delivery general. Okay, let me welcome each one of the panelists. Brings a unique perspective as each country's experience is its own. So this presents an opportunity to learn from one another and harness the knowledge such that the learning curve is less steep and, more importantly, to forge a way ahead towards a common goal. So the context of the COVID-19, as all of us are aware, on March 11 this year, the WHO declared the COVID-19 as a pandemic. At the time, there were 118 reported cases spanning 114 countries with over 4,000 fatalities. The exponential spread of the disease was particularly devastating. It took 67 days from the first reported case to reach 100,000 cases, 11 days for the second 100,000, and just 4 days for the third. So as at 11 June, a few days ago, Turkey, Bangladesh, Indonesia, and Malaysia have had confirmed reported cases of COVID-19 in excess of 300,000, with more than 9,000 deaths, against the backdrop of more than 7.4 million positive cases worldwide and over 418 fatalities. So the pandemic has triggered the most severe recession in nearly a century. According to the OECD, global economic activity is expected to fall by 6% in 2020, but may further fall to 7.6% if a second wave occurs, which will trigger a return to lockdowns. Panelists, ladies and gentlemen, the pandemic gave rise to three major concurrent global crises. One is the health crisis, second, an economic crisis, and no less important is the environmental crisis. We must not forget that the root cause of the pandemic is really our activities against wildlife and its habitat. So, in particular, the developing countries are at a disadvantage. The World Bank projects that at least 11 million people across East Asia and the Pacific will fall into poverty as a result of economic aftermath of the pandemic. So this is an unfortunate double blow, or double whammy as they call it, as these are also countries with already weaker health systems, which made early and effective containment measures difficult. So in the longer run, and perhaps more significantly, history has shown, at least over the last 2 decades, that pandemics have a tendency to reappear in other guises. So that is the context of our webinar today. What I'll do is to invite each of the panelists to give their comments at around 3 minutes. I was told here we have 5 questions to answer. You are limited to 3 minutes, but I was informed for Professor Hassan, he needs more time, which is not a problem, Professor Hassan, but you got a slide with you, you can have more than 3 minutes. I will start with Professor Hassan. The question is to each one of you would be, can you give a snapshot on efforts undertaken by your respective countries in combating the pandemic? And what are among the biggest hurdles medically in achieving a more desired outcome? So, Prof. Hassan, you have the floor, sir.
Okay, so thank you, Professor. So, and thank you also my transparency. Thank you. So, dear Chairman, dear panel members, our colleagues, and ladies and gentlemen, dear brothers and sisters. So it's a great pleasure for me as the President of the Scientific and Technological Research Council of Turkey, as TÜBİTAK is come together again. I mean, although we are in virtually, and as our moderator has been mentioned, in December, I mean, I was also at Kuala Lumpur for the KL Summit. And I think that although we have been challenging days, but also it's giving an opportunity for, in terms of how we realize our center of excellence, which we have been signed MOUs during the meeting. Although we are meeting online, and also again, as I said, it's good to see you since December. We are glad to take part in this timeless session on the technology for better healthcare, COVID-19 and beyond, organized by the MITE. Especially in these challenging times, the mobilization and strengthening the science-based response to the COVID-19 pandemic also provides a valuable opportunity. Let me briefly share some of our science-based measures that we are initiated in Turkey to mobilize a coalition of the research ecosystem. Our motivation and contribution to the combat of the COVID-19 pandemic involves measures on multiple fronts. As a major initiative, we launched the COVID-19 Turkey platform, which you've seen on this transparency. In a record time of 10 days, the platform currently involves 8 vaccine and 10 drug development projects for a total of 18 projects, with 267 researchers across 31 universities, 8 private sector companies, and 9 public R&D units. The 10 treatment-oriented drug development projects cover the drug molecular modeling, local drug synthesis and production, convalescent plasma and recombinant neutralizing antibody. The 8 vaccine development projects cover the spectrum of different vaccine methods. Overall, half of the vaccine projects, I am very pleased to inform you that, have progressed to the stage of the animal studies, with others currently in a stage of challenging tests for COVID-19 specific animal models. In addition to the vaccine projects, treatment projects also advanced to animal studies, including recombinant neutralizing antibody. And today, I mean, our minister has been announced the widely used treatment drugs of the favipiravir and hydroxychloroquine is locally synthesized in Turkey. In addition, we launched a rapid call to support the participation of young scholars COVID-19 related research projects, namely intern research scholarship program or STAR. So again, you can see on the screen, undergraduate, graduate, doctorate, and postdoctoral researchers are provided the opportunity of being supported as scholars in matching research projects. Altogether, 300 scholars are included in this program. On the side of the SMEs, you can see on the left corner, we established a rapid funding mechanism again for COVID-19 related diagnosis, protective and medical equipment, as well as the ICT solutions. The rapid call of the R&D projects of SMEs for combating COVID-19 was open for 1 week. 446 applications were received, and after 2 weeks evaluation, 35 projects were given support decision. All projects have a maximum duration of 9 months and are on the fast track to the market. For entrepreneurs, and you can see again from the right corner in the bottom, TÜBİTAK will support 30 business plans in the context of the Coronation Turkey competition. We further recognize the importance of the social science and humanities. Based on the awareness in the right top corner, we have been launched the COVID-19 and society, social, human, and economical impacts of the pandemic, problems and solutions to involve the researchers from social science and humanities community. In the scope of the rapid call, we received nearly 700 applications from 160 different institutions and supported more than 100 projects across diverse disciplines. Moreover, in support of the scientific communication, we organized 2 virtual conferences like that of the COVID-19 Turkey platform. The virtual conference was live streamed with the participation of our minister as well, and with a total about 170,000 participants, as well as the live questions and answers. Last but not least, we established a COVID-19 Turkey web portal that includes relevant scientific developments, open science resources, as well as reporting of daily statistics. The portal received of about 3 million visits from over 350,000 visitors since late March. Our experience allows us to emphasize the crucial importance of well-rounded and integrated measures across the entire ecosystem. So in overall, I mean, what I can summarize is, although we have been challenges, but also these challenging days give the opportunities. So we use the, opportunity, which means that normally it took 6 months to all evaluation processes. Now it took in 1 month, we started many projects in the different means of the either, drug and vaccine and supporting the young scholars, SMEs and social and humanities. So this, as I said, giving an opportunity for us also reshape our regular programs. So at this stage, I want to stop in here. So I hope it gives at least our experience in Turkey. So thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hassan. Is very impressive, and I'm sure there'll be questions from the participants. But I want to move on to Dr. Laksana Tri Handoko. Bapak, welcome to the webinar. Could you share with us some of the experiences in Indonesia? Bapak, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, Professor Tan Sri, all panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, all of you, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So I would like to raise several points related to this pandemic of COVID-19. The first one is the biggest hurdle in Indonesia in particular, is because we are dealing with a huge, very, very huge population. As you might know, we have around 250 million of population. And geographically, all of them are scattered across the country, because Indonesia is an archipelago country. So today, we have confirmed 36,000 infected persons officially, with almost 2,000 deaths so far. So this number is actually based on the standard counting, only person confirmed by PCR test. So while we know that in the new normal era, we still do need to keep massive contact tracing that mostly rely on the screening using the rapid test and diagnostic using PCR tests. So you can imagine how big our hurdles in Indonesia to perform massive contact tracing in the new era. Yeah. So medically, we face actually severe shortages on the consumables of test kit. Yeah, and I believe this is the common problem at most countries around the world. But fortunately, we have not yet entered what we call as the overcapacity of medical system. Yeah, so we still have so far enough bed numbers and so on. So secondly, I think this pandemic is a real challenge for all countries, yeah, and including all of us here, regardless you are the developing or less developing countries, yeah. And actually, this pandemic unites us to work together fighting the COVID-19. So Indonesia and particularly LIPI has also been involved in some national and global initiatives to develop in particular the drugs and vaccines for COVID-19. And at national scale, we have what we call as the research consortium for COVID-19 involving research institutes, universities, and private companies, yeah, our local private companies. And LIPI's involvement and collaborations are ranging from developing together from the scratch. Yeah, I mean the research to discover the vaccines, or working together at also at clinical development. Yeah, at the stage of clinical trials. For instance, to perform the phase 2 and phase 3 clinical trials for some of the already developed vaccines. Yeah, I mean vaccines candidates. So as far as I know, most of the vaccine developers are willing to open it as the global vaccines, yeah, once it is ready. So the important fact is that the important fact is that as already announced by WHO, yeah, we have at least globally 135 vaccine candidates, and only 10 of them are now entering the clinical trials. Yeah. So only 10 of 125. I mean 35. Yeah. So, and secondly, there is no guarantee whether one of them will be successfully approved as the vaccine for COVID-19. So then it is important to open the property right of the developed vaccines to be used and produced by any countries around the globe. So this is what we call as the vaccine diplomacy, yeah, in recent days. So this pandemic also teaches us to improve our readiness and sovereignty on public health. And there are two elements of them, at least. Yeah, the first one is the ability to perform massive testing to mitigate, to trace, and to tackle the next coming pandemic through better data and science-based policy. Yeah. And secondly, how we can improve the quantity and quality of our medical personnel and also the infrastructures, in particular the hospital. So now I think it is a good momentum for all of us, in particular science community, to open our mind on how we should conduct medical researches. Yeah. Because in the case of global physics community, because I am a theoretical physicist actually, we are used to work globally on, most importantly, and I mean most openly, yeah, since many decades ago. Yeah, in physics community, we are used to work together globally and open everything and share everything together since many decades ago. And we are very familiar with the so-called open data, open access, and so on. Yeah, since the beginning of internet era, actually. So in contrast, as far as I know, this kind of movement is not a common practice in medical researches until recently, unfortunately. Yeah. Even now, it is very good to know that we have, for instance, CIS-8, yeah, which collect all of the whole genome sequencing from many countries or gene bank and protein data bank and so on, yeah, many years ago. But I think we should do more to make the data and knowledge open for global communities, actually in medical researchers. So that is all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Andoko. Very interesting presentation. And I want to come back to some of the issues that you raised, like vaccine diplomacy, science-based policy. Those are the things that a group like ours could really contribute to our country. But let me now go to the next speaker. The third speaker, Professor Iqbal Chowdhury from Pakistan ICCCBS. Iqbal, you have the floor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Can you unmute from there? Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Brother Zakri. Thank you, Mike, for organizing this. Delighted to see our brothers and sisters from different institutions, particularly Professor Hassan and Professor Laksana. This is an extremely interesting topic because when I see Pakistan with a country of 220 million population, our experiences are not so different from what is presented by the other two speakers. I would say that initially the country has responded pretty well. Number one, the science was deployed. The first committee, which was constituted by the federal and provincial governments together, was a science committee. So there was a strong realization that without the deployment of science, they cannot handle pandemic. And this was a very welcome sign because on February 26th, when the first case of COVID-19 was reported in Pakistan, there were literally no testing facility. Then no one knows how to handle these crises. There were not many people who could understand the epidemiology and modeling of disease. Not enough hospitals, not enough isolation infrastructure. So there were many great challenges, but what actually happened was that the government has listened to scientific community. They deploy science for the benefit of people. They have done lots of very good things. For instance, within 1 month time, they provided a huge incentive to industries for the manufacturing of literally everything which was not available, from 0% and 100%, 0% indigenous production and almost 100% reliance on imported goods, from sanitizers to masks, from ventilators to respirators, from PPEs. The country has actually reached to a stage where now we are producing about 80% of what is required. And even they have gone beyond that and we are exporting many of it. So I would say that the country has responded pretty well initially, but later, because of one single reason, that country is economically weak, about 25% people living below the poverty line. There were many things which country was obliged to do. For instance, lockdown could not continue for a long period of time. There was a huge demand of people going out and earning their bread and butter. And that has led to a second surge, the second peak. And that was before Eid al-Fitr and after that. And that is unfortunately the sad part of what has happened in Pakistan. Now we have huge number of people, large number of people. The number of cases has exceeded 130,000. The death is increasing as well. The healthcare system is close to overwhelmed now. And they are in the situation of a fix, what to do, because they cannot really continue lockdown. They cannot impose lockdown again. According to WHO, lockdown is necessary, but economic condition does not really allow any government, provincial or federal, to actually impose this lockdown. So in this situation, the scientific community is coming forth with lots of interesting solutions. For instance, our IT infrastructure has actually developed new applications, which I'm sure not unique to Pakistan, where they are identifying clusters of patients. And a new concept of a smart lockdown is introduced in the country, where they are trying to identify more people in one locality and imposing lockdown in that particular situation. They have actually some engineering university developed and deployed and provided a new kind of ventilators, which are so-called low-cost ventilators. Their performance is, of course, not optimal as imported ventilators, but they are good enough to provide good saturation level to patients. So the number of things actually happened. Another very interesting thing happened was the consortium of hospitals started a clinical trial called PROTECT, Pakistan Randomized Clinical Trial for COVID patients. And about 3,000 patients were recruited so far in 19 different localities. And a fully randomized double-blind clinical trial is currently underway, in which various drugs are repurposed against the COVID. On the research side, research has responded extraordinarily well. The genomes were sequenced and mutations were identified in different localities within the country. So several genomes were reported. Many research funding agencies have actually announced huge sum of money beyond the expectation of scientists to actually work on bringing rapid solutions for different kinds of needs. So research infrastructure has also responded. I would say that there is a mix of success and failure. The success are extraordinary. The deployment of science was very good, but failures, of course, was that we were not able to respond to the question how to balance between the economy and the disease. And as a result of it, the poverty is perhaps the most important impediment in tackling this problem to a level where we expect it to be under control. So I would say poverty and literacy are two major impediments, but on the other side, there are lots of bright examples which Pakistan has done. Since I am also have this new responsibility of the Coordinator General of COMSTEC, OIC's organ for Science and Technology Cooperation, I hope that we would be able to work together to have a better understanding how to move forward in post-COVID situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Iqbal. Another interesting story from Pakistan. Let me call on Dr. Yusuf Sulaiman to give his inputs from Malaysia. Dr. Yusuf, you have the floor.
Sri, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to see your faces and to hear your voices. Well, in Malaysia, we actually, with regard to our COE, we managed to visited Indonesia in January and was hoping to visit Turkey after that, but suddenly the world was affected by this pandemic. So there was a bit of lull in terms of our collaboration and etc. But I see this pandemic as also a push, an opportunity for the members of the COE to come together and to have a discussion and then to see what kind of collaboration that we could actually have. So Alhamdulillah, it's very nice to see everybody and Zakri being helpful to chair and moderate this session. As you know, Malaysia was affected by this virus in January, when we have 3 Chinese tourists from Singapore coming in and brought the virus. The first nation infected came a bit later in the month. I think the government was evaluating the situation, but comes March, it quickly enforced the movement control order, in short MCO, because the cases were increasing to a few hundreds, and by March 16 there were already 553 cases, so it multiplied very, very quickly. And as soon as we announced the MCO, we were looking also at where the sources of the pandemic is happening in Malaysia. There were 8 areas placed under what we call an enhanced movement control order. So it was a very firm and quick decision by the government and the relevant agency to implement this. We saw the signs of flattening of the curve somewhere at the end of March. But those are with reason because of the intervention of these MCO and social distancing, washing of hands, and other hygienic practices. So by June, there were a total of 8,369 cases. Malaysia now numbers 66 in terms of total cases. In terms of total death, up to June was 118. So we rank about 68 in the whole global ranking. And then as far as the infection rates, we are number 12, 0.3. And then our recovery rate is about 84.4%. Testing capacity is sufficient, from 7,000 to 30,000 testing available. And almost about 500,000 people have been tested so far. So basically, while Malaysia was not the top in terms of emergency response, but once the government actually took action, it became very clear that they were serious, and the response, gave a good result altogether. And 1 or 2 days ago, for a day, there's only 2 new cases. So it's quite a very optimistic view of eradicating the pandemic, to get out of the pandemic. But we are of course very cautious about looking at the second wave, and we hope that once we have lessened the movement control order 2 days ago, that it will result in not necessarily a spike, but it will actually help in terms of the other objectives in economic sense and etc. So we look at the situation in Malaysia. The government was facing already a lot of societal changes, a lot of economic challenges, and we just have a new government in place. So the political uncertainty was there, but Alhamdulillah, the current leadership and the health department has actually created a very clear and direction feel of what the people should actually be doing, what the businesses should be doing, and what other part of the community should be doing. So basically, we can classify Malaysia's responses into 3. One is the massive utilization of healthcare technologies, the testing of citizen. There were a lot of development of rapid test kits and also test equipment, and construction of new healthcare facilities to support the current ones. This is very much similar with the South Korean approach. And we also look at a lot of government and societal preventive action, basically looking at rapid and stringent lockdown, and stern punishment for lawbreakers, especially those who violate the curfew or the MCO, the movement control order. So taking both in concept, we actually came up with the active case detection and targeted testing approach, and then implement the rapid and stringent lockdown after the second wave, and then utilization of healthcare technologies for prevention, detection, and treatment. So now looking at the post-MCO, there was a survey done by our foresight team in March, and looking how comfortable Malaysians are to basically return to normal. I think it's very interesting to share with you the kind of public reaction to this pandemic. So based on some of these variables, in terms of meeting friends and family outside their household, only 37% of Malaysians are comfortable to do that. So basically, many are still suspicious about having this kind of meetings. Going to malls and supermarkets, only 29%. We're also seeing that during this pandemic, there's the change in supply chain activities. People are buying directly from the source of supplies and having this thing delivered to their homes directly. So I think people are becoming comfortable with this kind of purchase. Eating in cafes and restaurants are basically badly hit. 15% only are comfortable. So there is a case where we are looking at how do we supplement the business of cafes and restaurants so that they can survive. Going back to workplace and universities, 44%. Children going to school, I think the parents are saying, they are not confident. Only 11% say they should go back to schools. And then going to place of worship, 31%. Using public transport is much less, is now 9%. And going to events and sporting events was 5%. So basically, we are looking at what we call post-normal. And I think when it hit, us with this crisis, I think it's a very traumatic experience that I would say that going out of this crisis, there's going to be a lot of changes. There's got a lot of impacts that's going to be felt by people. So I think what we are looking at is to boost this confidence and for people to get back to work, people to get back to some kind of normalcy in their lives. There need to be, I think, 3 strategies that we should implement. One is maintaining the cleanliness and hygiene, it becomes very important for the employers, customers, and public to have some form of due diligence before exposing themselves to some of these areas. And then, of course, monitoring of workers and customers' health using tools to monitor any signs of infection, so that it doesn't get affecting the others. And of course, the social distancing is a very key and very important measures to be put in place so that there won't be any transfer of this virus from one to another. So, Tan Sri, I think that gives some kind of understanding of how the case is affecting Malaysia. We'll discuss the other aspects of the technology and etc. after listening to the others. Thank you very much, Tan Sri.
Thank you, Dr. Yusof, for another enlightening description of what's happening in Malaysia. Let me move to the next round of question, and this one is about economics. As we have seen, some countries, rich countries, were still unable to contain the epidemic or tackle it in any meaningful way. One example, right as we are speaking now, is the United States. Okay. On the other extreme, as Professor Chaudhry mentioned, in a country like Pakistan, or even your neighbor, Chaudhry, India, is very difficult to implement lockdown, isn't it? It's a matter of life and death when people couldn't work. So what we're saying here, a nation's economic advantage for the rich one or disadvantage does not tell the whole story. So what are your thoughts on that? Let me proceed with Professor Hassan from Tubita first. Prof. Hassan, you have the floor.
Thank you. So this observation represents a correct perspective and timely evaluation, as you mentioned. So per capita medical expenditure is an input-oriented indicator from our sense that doesn't represent the side of either outcome and impact, which is what will determine the ability to protect and save lives in our societies. For a long of a time, as the world society, we have been focused on an input-oriented perspective without questioning the broader realities in society. Most importantly, whether these inputs are being transformed into the impact requires a complete paradigm shift. So when we are talking about higher per capita medical expenditure, I think is a good example for that. This paradigm shift is also about the governance, how the actors and institutions are able to mobilize and come together collaboratively. So the keywords, I think, the governance and the collaboration. The stark realities of the COVID-19 pandemic have shown us that a focus on an input side falls much too short, and it will take an integrated perspectives that will carry us forward in meeting the challenges for a healthier and more sustainable society. Within the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, reaching the expectations of ensuring the healthy lives and promoting well-being for all at all ages also requires the governance. So robustness of the R&D and innovation system and its effective integration with the healthcare system through co-creation, I think is a new kind of a terminology we will come across, and I see very important, especially for our Center of Excellence for Care Hamid, is a vital aspect to be addressed. Clearly, developing a high technology in the healthcare sector directly has the direct implications for enabling better healthcare. At the same time, not only technology development, but also successful integration into the healthcare system to realize its impact potential is crucial. This requires a greater co-creation based collaboration. So it is a greater co-creation based collaboration between all actors and institutions so that clinical trials are transformed into new medications and vaccines while the mass production value chain is completed towards the products for the healthcare system alike. To give an example, to locally develop prototype, a critical care unit respirator by an SME based on the support of TÜBİTAK was successfully transformed from pilot production into mass production with the support of a large-scale companies in only 14 days during this pandemic. This respirator is produced to meet needs both in Turkey and as well as around the world. Last Sunday, 1,500 respirator was exported to Brasilia. Similarly, we are keeping track of developments for immunity-based vaccine development and treatments-based drug development in the context of the COVID-19 Turkey platform. So we are using the same philosophy. In Turkey, this defines our integrated strategy so that R&D and innovation for the healthcare save lives today and allow us to be prepared to address the needs for tomorrow as well. So that's my things and contribution for your questions at this stage.
Thank you, Professor Hassan. Your phrase about co-creation and succeeding together are keywords that this group can explore further. Let me invite Professor Handoko to comment on the pandemic and your economic challenges in Indonesia. You have the floor, sir.
Yes, actually, I think we face the same situation as in other countries, yeah, across the globe. That the pandemic itself is is very, very challenging, yeah, because we have to fight against the pandemic itself. But on the other side, we face also a severe problem on the economy. And of course, through the collaboration, co-creation, and everything, as already also mentioned by myself and also by from Tubitak, yeah. But I think we have to be also realistic that from our experience, you know, no one can guarantee how long it could take, yeah, to develop the drug and of course also the vaccine. And it might also, there is also likely situation where we never have the vaccine. Yeah. And then it is very important to consider how we can help our people in our country to be able to survive, to go through the situation where the pandemic is still there and the development of drug and also vaccine is not coming yet. Yeah, so then it is quite important to, yeah, I think the question then turns out to ask how to change the mindset and behavior of our people, yeah, to make them to be ready, to make them to, you know, to be able to survive, go through the situation, yeah, at least until next year, yeah. I don't think, you know, most of us believe that the vaccine is not coming until next year, right? So this is, yeah, this is, I think, the largest problem we have to face and in every country, and we have to think how we can maintain, yeah, the economy in at one hand, and also the you know, how to keep how to protect our people from the pandemic at the other hand. Yeah. So yeah, so that is what I can comment on your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Handoko. Let me move to Prof. Iqbal. Your comments, Prof.
Ansri, I would like to respond to question 2 about the economic advantages and disadvantages and why such thing has not really mattered in this situation. I would like to build upon of what Dr. Hassan said. Never in the history of humanity, at least in recent history, a situation such as pandemic has exposed the inequalities in society. So it's not a question of how much of wealth country possesses, it's more of inequality and social justice which has been exposed by this pandemic. So in my opinion, it's not how much wealth a country possesses, but more of how economically, how the social system is providing a justice and all that. For instance, example of United States with excellent healthcare facilities, but there is a difference between facilities and healthcare system. So there was no system in place which could bring people to an equal access to healthcare facilities. Second important thing is I think the quality of leadership matters a lot, where leaders were of high quality, well-read, and an in-depth understanding of history and how to govern has responded to this pandemic much better than countries with leaders with shallow understanding and with literally no understanding of how things can be handled at a national level also. I would also say I think this pandemic would change the whole definition of development. I would perhaps 6 months from today would like to sit together with you, Tansri Zakri, to actually define what development means, you know, because the whole paradigm has changed now. Development is perhaps of a country which was capable of helping people uh, despite of their economic strata and providing them a necessary means and ways of helping them in a situation like this, in my opinion, is more developed than countries with lots of money and high GDP. So, in my opinion, quality of leadership has mattered. In my opinion, the social inequalities were the most important factor which has been exposed by the pandemic. And third is perhaps at some stage the development, the whole definition of development has to be revised and revisited. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Iqbal. definitely we would consider another webinar on redefining development 6 months
Yeah.
from today. Let me move to Dr. Yusof, comments on economics.
Yes, yes, sir. But responding to Professor Iqbal's suggestion of measuring development beyond just GDP is a very interesting topic that we have touched, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago. I think we should revisit that and give it a new definition, with the background of this pandemic. So there's a lot of rethinking on not just economic, but also how we look at industry development. What are the resilient technology sector that we should actually focus on? Because during the pandemic, a lot of these economic activities centered on traditional sectors actually was almost wiped out. And there were these sectors or industries that actually prosper are those we are not prepared for. So, there's some things that we need to think about. How do we actually look at resiliency and etc. But the question is talking about the economic advantage of countries and how they respond. I think it's good to have some form of economic prosperity and enough funds to do a lot of things. But as we can see, that's not the only thing that would solve the pandemic issues and how we overcome it. Because in the case of Malaysia, I think, like I said just now, the political will was there from the start, and the willingness to listen to epidemiologists and those scientists that are looking at this thing from a very neutral and well intellectual inputs actually came across to the leadership of the country in a clear and very understanding form. So he make that decision based on the inputs of the scientists and etc. And we find that other countries do not necessarily have that kind of a environment where the leaders actually necessarily wants to listen to scientists and put aside economic agenda based on these inputs. But luckily for Malaysia, we did. And I think I heard also from Professor Hassan, Dr. Hassan, that Turkey did the same thing. I mean, listening to the group of scientists, what to do and etc. is very, very key. So I think the environment that we are faced with is going to change the dynamics of how we are going to work together and put a value on science. I think many steps, because of this crisis that would never have been heard before the crisis. Suddenly science, technology become now a very visible, very critical things for leaderships to consider. So I think that's I think very important that countries should have both economic and also a way to get intellectual inputs when crisis actually hit. Thanks, Ray.
Thank you, Dr. Yusof. I was reminded it's nearly 4 o'clock. Just to remind participants of this webinar, if you have any questions, please relay to the Secretariat. We'll be responding to your question. And if possible, you could also address those questions to the panelists. I want to break away from our script of question and answers provided to all of us, but to touch on an issue which all of you has mentioned, and that is the science policy interface. I was really impressed listening to all 4 of you, how each of your institutions have been weighing in, helping the policy makers in your country to develop the policies, program, and strategies to combat the pandemic. Let me ask each one of you again the role of science advice. And here I don't mean only the natural sciences, but also the social sciences and the humanities. I remember Handoko mentioned about changing mindset. That means that goes beyond the natural sciences. Let me hear some comments from each one of you. Professor Hassan, you have the floor. Prof. Hassan, yeah.
Okay.
Did you get my questions?
Yes. Okay, can you hear me?
Hear you, Dr. Hassan.
I mean, basic science, engineering science, health sciences. So also the social science and humanities is becoming more and more important, as you mentioned. So within the comprehensive mobilization of the Turkish ecosystem, social science and humanities research community has also been mobilized for the socio-economic situation. So the various, I mean, at least during my, to answer to my first question, so you have been seeing that, we have been open a special call for COVID-19 and society and social, human, and economical impacts of the pandemic, problems and solutions. And very, nicely that, we have been received 700 proposals in a short of time. And these projects involving psychology, sociology, computer education technologies, communication, marketing, social policies, public administration, economics, management, and organization. So, and our expectation is in a short of time, in 6 months' time, so come to the solution. So, what this pandemic, during this pandemic, what we have been learned. So, okay, so the engineering sciences, basic science, health sciences are critically important, but in terms of the impact-oriented systems, so social science and humanities also becoming more and more important. At least as one of the funding agency, main funding agency in Turkey. So this is a kind of a learning path during this pandemic. And so also when we are planning for next, program, so there will be much more involvement of social science and humanities in our system. So I think at this stage, maybe my contribution in that respect.
Thank you, Professor Hassan. Let me move to Professor Handok. Your comments on the link between science and policy.
Yes, thank you, Professor Tan Sri. So, in our case, actually, LIPI covers all research fields, from natural science to social sciences. Yeah. And since the beginning of the pandemic, LIPI and also our researchers from many fields have been involved in the policy making, led by our national COVID-19 task force. So, in particular, this month, starting from this month, actually, yeah, because now is the critical time, since we are very sure that we almost have no option. Yeah, we are very sure to bring our people back to normal life. Yeah, whatever the normal will be, but with different style. So that means it is quite, a critical period for all of us to develop, to to bring new policy on how the new lifestyle will be, yeah, including how we can support, how we can develop some, for instance, the engineering devices or something to support the new normal. Yeah. So so now, actually, yeah, it is quite important for us to, to be involved and to work actively to, to propose everything. Yeah, and in the case of LIPI, at least we have been involved, quite a lot, yeah, since the beginning. So, yeah. So in the case of LIPI, at least, yeah, we have a very good relationship, and we have very yeah, I cannot say that we play a major role, but at least we play important role in policy making in Indonesia, fighting against the COVID-19 right now.
Thank you, Professor Handoko. You are very modest. I'm very impressed that theoretical physicists like you could lead such a challenging project like the COVID-19 and doing it very well from LIPI.
Thank you. I have to, yeah.
Let me ask Professor Iqbal Chowdhury on this link between science and policy. Iqbal, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Tansri. Never in the history of humanity, science was enforced and deployed with the speed as we have seen in this case. But at the same time, you see, at a national level, when policymakers decided to incorporate scientific advices in their policies, it was a very welcome sign. But at the same time, there was a gross confusion of what science offers at that time. Every day, there were situations unfolding, so you find doctors, economists, social scientists, engineers giving different advices because science is unfolding. So the fact is that science can advise, but when science is itself confused, and when science is not at a situation, science of course is never dogmatic, but in this situation we have actually seen how science unfold and how confusions are created, how one statement is given by WHO and retracted the second day, when a paper published in Lancet and withdrawn the third day, when CDC issue a guideline and then take it back. This is exactly what happened in Pakistan also. So you would really find in public debate doctors advising different thing at the same time, and public is confused, the policymakers are confused also, but this is very natural. I still think that incorporating science was certainly better than not having it. So my comment is, in Pakistan, the policymakers certainly realize the importance of science advices, but at the same time, they realize that scientists do also have their own limitations and their advice are not always necessarily correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Iqbal. You are also being modest. I know how you and Professor Ataur Rahman has played major role in Pakistan on how science can help alleviate economic problem. Let me go to Dr. Yusof, whom I was informed had just been engaging the Malaysian Minister of Science. So Yusof, tell us what you have to tell. Go ahead.
Yes, Tansri, that's why I'm a bit late to the webinar. My apologies. The meeting sort of dragged into other discussions. But before I go into that, Tansri, I just want to inform our panelists, members, our COE members, that in Malaysia currently, the icon, the person I think that will win the Malaysia Man of the Year is going to be a scientist. He's on the TV every day, giving information to the people, and the way he communicated was so excellent that he's become a poster boy of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think science advisory goes also along with a good way of communicating and getting the attention of either the leaders or the people. And I think this one particular person, Dr. Noor Hisham is a name, is actually doing that very, very well. I think we need more of these icon and for us to be able to converse with the leadership, which may not necessarily be scientists, and make these science issues and challenges a very layman's words or issues could be easily understood. I think that's one area of where science diplomacy is going to go. In Malaysia, we are basically using this pandemic as an excuse to review all our national agenda. Our new industrial master plan has been put to stop, and really looking at, like I mentioned, issues of identifying resilient technology or sectors, looking at localization. The supply chain has changed, and this gives a rise of why shouldn't we give more opportunities for the local industries. And then I think thirdly is also to really review the coordination, integration of various industry players to make them work as more efficiently. So I think this come all from the social aspects of the consumers is really changing in terms of their habits. Companies are facing different challenges in terms of accessing raw materials and etc. I think these are very important changes that is happening that we should take into account. I mean, it's not going to be business as usual. It's going to be business unusual. And I think this science diplomacy is going to be very important. And I'm sure countries like Turkey, Indonesia, and Pakistan would actually regard the scientists in much more higher, level, and to value them much more in terms of developing this new national agenda for each of our countries. I hope so, inshallah. Thank you, Tan Sri.
Thank you, Dr. Yusof. I'm looking at the time. We still have quite a bit. I want to touch on a very pertinent issue here, and that is the core of the discussion today. How technology or technologies can contribute to better healthcare, in particular arising from pandemic like the COVID-19. Just now we have heard all those that have been done by Tubita, LIPI, ICCC, BS, and also mine. And our forte is really technology or science and technology. And of course, one of the biggest technological challenge is finding a vaccine to the coronavirus. But there are other issues, of course, which technology could contribute. Let's talk about that. And let's again, I pass the floor to Professor Hassan on technologies and healthcare.
One moment. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We hear you very loud and clear. Go ahead.
We are well aware that the intense efforts for producing COVID-19 as a vaccine, as well as the treatment-oriented drugs, is a significant investment, not only for the current pandemic situation, but also for the future needs in which vaccine and treatments become vital solutions for healthy living and survival. At the same time, emerging technologies, including advanced modeling, big data, and artificial intelligence, are also increasing in the healthcare sector. This range of the virtual screening of the molecules of the drug discovery and the drug repurposing, and the use of the artificial intelligence for diagnosing the COVID-19 from ultrasound images and use of big data for safely tracking back any contacts of the COVID-19 positive individuals. In addition, diagnostic kits are important for both diagnosing COVID-19 positive individuals quickly and accurately, as well as the antibody test that also gains an importance during the normalization process. For example, in Turkey, we are also in a process for developing a novel diagnostic kit based on nanomechanical system that can be alternative for PCR-based diagnostic kits. So the PCR one based on more chemical reactions, and nanomechanical system is based on more physics. In this landscape of scientific and technological opportunities, the one medical healthcare element may not be specific technology or product, but rather a governance, and again I am mentioning governance and co-creation based collaboration process address the challenges for medicine and healthcare. We are successful as we are coordinated. We are as coordinated as we are dedicated to the common challenge. So I think this is also important. So during this pandemic period, so as to be talk, we have been focused on this common challenge, and at least since now we are, successfully managing the process. So we need an uphold of this value asset from the COVID-19 pandemic, and to sustain this synergy and strengthen the healthcare sector for a better addressing for vital need for healthy and sustainable society. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hassan. Very impressive. Let me pass the floor to Professor Handoko. Sir, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Tan Sri. So, the main contribution from technology and technologies in terms of COVID-19 is, of course, first of all, is delivering the drug and vaccines, yeah, as soon as possible. But on the other hand, it is also very, very important to think about the testing technology that is still very important, yeah, and becoming more and more important in new normal era. Yeah, because as I already mentioned in the beginning, that contact tracing is a key for our new normal life. Yeah, in the next few months. Yeah, how we can screen and on the other hand, how we can separate, the infected person from the others. Yeah, so this is very important, because the current golden standard for the testing technology is quite expensive, based on the PCR test, and that is the reason why we are also at LIPI, we are developing what we call as the alternative technology comparable to the PCR test, but with much less expensive. So, and on the other hand, secondly, the emerging technologies are also expected to support our new normal life, our new normal, with whatever we call as the normal life from now. And this also means that this pandemics, I think we can see that this pandemics not only new challenges for us, but also in this regard, it opens up new opportunities, for all of us, the technologies to develop, new products or everything, to support our new normal era. Thank you.
Thank you, Bapak. Let me pass the floor to Prof. Iqbal. Iqbal, you have the floor.
It's a very interesting story, because, see, it was a complete delight to see what happened when somebody like Professor Atar Rahman led the capacity building, because you cannot really have any technological development or appropriate response without right kind of capacity. Professor Atta during 2002 to 2008 has actually sent thousands of people abroad, and these bright people came back to Pakistan. So we have literally 20,000 overgraduates from the top institutions of the world. And it was a complete delight to see that they have all responded, and their institutions have responded also. So from zero testing to something like 30,000 tests per day, from no ventilator ever produced in this country to ventilators produced, approved, and deployed, from literally everything which was required to handle this pandemic was developed. And from AI solution to IT, everything is now in place. I would say that the capacity which was built in last 20 years is now at work. And I'm pretty confident that these technological challenges post-COVID would be handled successfully, because these extremely motivated and talented people are now working in top institutions of the country. And they, every day, you see that they are actually developing. And that happened because capacity was developed. And this is a lesson learned also because we need to continue this process of developing capacity in future as well.
Thank you, Iqbal. Dr. Yusof, any comments?
Yes, Tan Sri. I agree that the drug discovery and vaccines development is a very important area for the current pandemic. We saw that the COVID-19 virus is actually a more complex virus compared to the earlier MERS and SARS. And I wonder what else is coming down the horizon. I mean, we say na'uzubillah, but we have to prepare for the eventuality of another kind of virus or in the future. So I would say that the surveillance system is one area that we should also focus on. Whether it's going to be at our borders or our airports, is to detect this virus early and to be able to understand what the impact is going to actually affect the people. So I think prevention is very important than just looking at the cure and you know, in preparation for future crises. I think I saw in Tubitak's a lot of LinkedIn postings. I'm very impressed, Dr. Hassan, of many of the products and technologies that you have put into the market. But maybe also we should look at collaborating into some of these technologies that would prevent things that we could actually work together on. So, Tan Sri, that's my point on the key technology. I think it would be the surveillance system that will allow us to monitor these and other things that may be coming our way. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yusof. I have a few questions fielded by the participants, but I can conclude those questions have been addressed during our last panel. For instance, which technology will be important in the next coming years that will help redevelop nation? And just now we have heard one is, of course, the vaccine, but there's a host of technologies, as being pointed out by Dr. Hassan of Tubita, that will be used to help us address future catastrophes. And one of those also, what are the low-hanging fruits between each country? We are going to discuss that in a few minutes' time. So those questions from the floor has been answered more or less by our discussion on technologies just now. I want to move on to the final segment, and this would be to discuss among us the kind of collaboration among the four organizations present here. You know, we started this collaboration on the sideline of the KL Summit, and one of that is to demonstrate that Muslim majority countries are no less able to use science and technology. And in this short webinar, at least for myself, I have heard and witnessed the kind of capacity, excellent capacity among the four organizations today. It augurs well, really, but let me go around the table once again. If each colleague could share with us in terms of collaboration that they wanted to see happening among us. I know Dr. Yusof just now mentioned about him going to these countries, but that effort stopped because of COVID-19. Okay, let's start again with Professor Hassan. Collaboration, Professor Hassan.
Thank you. So I think this is the key question at this forum to be talked side for today, because the other questions we have been answered from the national base. But I think the key question for today, which brings us together, which was started in last December, is KL Summit. So the pandemic situation has clearly demonstrated that the management, okay, not the doing, is the management of the R&D and innovation processes are equally as important as directly performing the necessary R&D activities in collaborative teams for vaccine and drug development. For this reason, the sharing of experiences on the management of the mission-oriented processes becoming as important as sharing of only specific technologies. The sharing of experiences based on the processes of managing a comprehensive R&D and innovation approach also provide us a framework under which we can collaborate more effectively in the context of advancing the objectives of sustainable development. Declaration of the intention that we signed during Kuala Lumpur summit for the establishment of a center of excellence provides an excellent basis for this effort. We, as Turkey, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Pakistan, can utilize the COVID-19 pandemic situation to provide another opportunity for advancing the center of excellence. Not only our countries, but also greater community can benefit from the center of excellence based on the ongoing process of the working group towards the memorandum of understanding. As TÜBİTAK, we are glad to share our experiences of what we perceive as a strong science-based response against the COVID-19 pandemic as we identify common areas of interest. It's the science-based solutions that will allow us to victories in providing positive impact of healthy societies in our countries and humanity as a whole during the COVID-19 and beyond. Even before our intent to establish the Center of Excellence and the COVID-19 pandemic, Turkish researchers have been involved in joint efforts. The COVID-19 pandemic can only increase our collaborations as we seek the opportunity to collaborate in areas of high technology to address the sustainable development goals. So in that respect, once more, I emphasize, thank you very much. You bring us together, and we are hoping to continue our efforts under this Center of Excellence.
Thank you, Professor Hassan. Let me go to Professor Handoko, your views on collaboration. I know you are not in Kuala Lumpur last year, but we know you. Please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. Tan Sri. So, actually, the question is how we can encourage collaboration among us in particular. Yeah. So, and this turned out to the question on how we can create a mutual beneficial relationship among us, yeah, to enable a long-term and mutual beneficial relationship in long-term. Yeah, so, and I think this pandemic provides good momentum, yeah, momentum for us, for all of us, yeah, to in particular the science community, to open our mind on how we should conduct collaboration research, and in particular also the medical researches, because traditionally the medical research is much less, as I already mentioned in the beginning, yeah, much less close field compared to, yeah, for instance, the physical sciences, yeah, where I'm belonging to. Yeah, so I think the KL Summit and the next coming meeting, I don't know when and where, yeah, some of us can develop and establish the new platform, yeah, to enable, such collaboration. Yeah, not only in the medical researches, I think, but yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Papa. Let me move to Iqbal. Prof. Iqbal, comments?
Thank you, Tan Sri. I join my other colleagues also thanking Mike for bringing us together. We are extremely excited. I think this is an absolutely wonderful initiative, and we are so happy to be part of it. I was looking forward to welcome you all in Karachi, ICCBS, because we actually plan to have one activity in April. Certainly in near future, inshallah, when we would have a better condition, we'll meet. I had the honor of visiting TÜBİTAK multiple times and also LIPI, and I could see the great strength of these institutions. And I must say that this is exactly what we need to do. We need to build on the strength we have in the Muslim world. And Might has brought this wonderful idea of building on the strength of the Muslim world by selecting some of the best institutions and putting them together into a consortium of excellence. So this consortium of excellence is a novel idea, certainly a very good idea, and I really feel that these institutions can work together on many issues, including how to handle pandemic and other emergencies. At the ICCBS, I must say that an institution of this size was able to respond to it. We now have the largest testing facility in the country with 2,400 tests conducted every day. We are now have 100 genome projects looking into the mutations, which eventually determine how vaccine would be affected a year from today. We have several groups working in the drug discovery and development using natural product. And then we have a number of other projects also. And I feel that there are so many of these complementarities, the areas in which we all are strong, we can work together, the areas in which we need support. I'm sure that the other institution would extend support also. Professor Zakri has actually defined a very good mechanism of how to identify strengths and weaknesses. And I think this was an excellent presentation in KL where we could see how we can link together by having objective opinion and a strategic review of institutions' strengths and weaknesses. So I would say that we are looking forward to have more of an interaction. We think collaboration is the only way forward, and we think that there is a strong willingness to work together, and this is the real essence of this excellent idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Yusuf, 1 minute. Is Dr. Yusuf still there? I didn't see him. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Tansi, collaboration is the best way to move forward, isn't it? I mean, it's a common problem to everybody. And we were searching for some areas to define for the COE to work on initially. And the COVID-19, it's unfortunate, but it actually give rise to a particular common area that we should be looking at. And in fact, we started a discussion with LIPI about a month or so ago, and we were exploring vaccines using herbal remedies and that kind of thing. It's a long shot, but at least we started the conversation between LIPI and the Institute of Medical Research in Malaysia. And I think this is the only way to go to leverage on each other's strength, and then to find a solution not only for the 4 countries, but also for the other smaller developing countries with Muslim majority, in those countries. So I think we are not just looking at ourselves, but we are looking at providing a solution, a very cost-effective, solutions to our ummah everywhere, and COE should play that role, Tansi. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yusuf. It's almost, it's 4:31. Let me give my 1 minute conclusion. I'm just impressed and mesmerized by the kind and high quality discussion that we have had this afternoon. It's really inspiring, and it also goes to show how talented we are in this part of the world that could also contribute to world peace and health. So I just want to express my heartfelt thanks to all the 4 panelists and also those participants who have been following this 1.5 hour webinar, and the Secretariat at MIND to ensure that we had performed well. So with that, thank you so much again. I think Zeti has some final moments. Zeti, you want to say something?
Yes, I would like to say thank you to moderator, Professor Tan Sri Zakri, Global Ambassador of Campaign for Nature, panelists today. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Yusuf Sulaiman of MIND, Professor Dr. Hassan Mandal of Tubitak, Professor Dr. Iqbal Chowdhury of ICCBS, and Dr. Laksana Trihandoko of LIPI. So this session, episode 5, is live on YouTube, MIND Malaysia. So everyone can check out the session on MIND Malaysia YouTube. we would like to say special thank you to team members of Tubitak, ICCBS, and LIPI. Very good collaboration indeed. So thank you all. Stay safe and connected. Thank you from Malaysia. Assalamualaikum. So we'll end the session now. Bye. Thank you, Tan Sri.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Modern Malaysia